Hello, everyone. Welcome to Merle's Pearls of Business Wisdom, where myself, Merle M. Singer, the relationship miracle worker, spreads all kinds of information about how relationship is the basis of everything in your life, certainly, and it certainly impacts the workplace. If you're in the workplace, you're having relationships. And if you're having relationships, then uh, it's good if you have some little clues about how to make it work good. And with that in mind, guess what? I have a guest today, and I am very impressed with this young woman, and I'm going to tell you all about her. Oh, and then I have some questions, actually. Uh, this is Camille Walker. She is a native Texan growing up in a family of entrepreneurs and was getting a hands-on business education firsthand. Actually, so was I, kind of. As a practicing attorney for more than 20 years, I found myself, says Camille, serving as an advisor for service-based entrepreneurs, helping them make improvements in productivity, revenue, and overall performance. Sounds good. Helping to pinpoint and release financial barriers. Pay attention to that. And sabotaging patterns for a performance breakthrough is work utilizing emotional intelligence. Maybe she'll tell us about that. Utilizing a combination of cutting-edge tools, strategies, and tactics, Camille helps business owners achieve their goals with ease. Important word, ease. Camille earned a bachelor's in business administration and marketing from Texas Tech University and a law degree from University of Houston. She has numerous certifications in the area of emotional intelligence, energy, and belief work. Welcome, Camille.
Thank you, Meryl. It is a joy to be with you today.
Good, good. And shared as it happens. So I have some questions actually that your um, the resume brought up. And my question is, where are you now? Where do you live?
Oh, I'm in the Austin, Texas area.
Oh, so you're still in Texas.
Yes, never left Texas. So started out in suburbs of Dallas, moved to Austin in the late 90s. Yeah, went to grad school in Houston, went to undergrad in Lubbock, and so
Right,
I've just made the circuit, you know?
right. You know, when I talk to people, I just think they're all right here. That's a, oh my God, she's probably in Texas.
Well, I'd love to be where you are too.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice. I'm originally from the East Coast, from Philadelphia.
Mm.
So we moved out. We just got out of there. And I haven't looked back. Although I have a soft spot for Philadelphia. It did good by me.
Sure, but your weather's beautiful, right?
Yes, California has very good weather.
Yeah.
Yes. Although it has been raining. It's supposed to rain a little bit today, but it had a slight drizzle, but nothing to speak of. So we'll see. Um, so that's okay. I'm just thinking, oh, it's not even the same time where you are. So what
Well,
time? So it's 1 o'clock for me right now. What time is it for you? So you're like 3?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that you offer on your website, everybody should know to go to CamilleWalker.com. But you mentioned, and I did download it, how to know if you have abundance blocks.
Correct.
And go ahead.
Yeah, because, when you talk about blocks, that means you probably can't see it or detect it yourself. So if you ask yourself a series of questions, I mean, there's a handout that kind of helps you walk through that. What ends up showing up in your life usually are the results of having a block.
Unknown caller.
So since we're talking about relationships today, everybody has a relationship with money.
Yes.
Just like we really have a relationship that starts with ourselves, and we don't really think about it very often. I mean, how many times do we have a conversation? So if I said, Meryl, how's your relationship with yourself?
Well, it's going pretty good today.
But yeah, and then how's your relationship with money? I mean, so really, especially for people who are right now, I mean, we're in a really interesting season in history, right? Where we're navigating some uncertainty. And so this conversation around how people really are feeling about money, there's a survey, of course, that the American Psychological Association has done forever since 2015, and it's the same. The number one stress is around money. And whether you have a higher income or a lower income, they found that to be the number one anxiety. So this conversation, glad you asked me about it because we need to talk about it, and we need to talk about how to overcome some of the things that, if you're especially in business, will hold you back from achieving your goals with ease. And I can kind of
By the way, that also can hold you back with relationships, with romantic relationships, family relationships, friend relationships. Absolutely. Absolutely.
definitely. In fact, I bet in your business, especially, and because I practice law now, I didn't do family law, but it was the most tumultuous practice area that you could have. But one of the things that I know personally is money was a big trigger
Oh,
in
yes.
relationship breakdowns.
Yeah,
So mindset around money is important, and it starts with your relationship long before you're an adult.
totally. Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So and I came across this in my own life. I didn't think I had a problem with money.
Right.
At the same time, I had been through, so after practicing law, and then I just decided to start a consulting company. And I thought, oh, this should be easy, right? I have a business background, I practice law, I know how to start it, I know what I need to do. And then I hired help. So I hired coaches to help me learn how to do consulting, right? Because that's not the same thing as
Right.
practicing. And what I found is I was running up against some walls. Like I had all the tools, I knew what I needed to do, but for some reason, I was running into a wall with my income. And so I started to ask the question, wait a minute, what's going on here? And most people would say, oh, you're just not working hard enough, or you need to go and get a new website, or just all the tactics of what to do. And pretty soon I got frustrated because I realized there was something going on I couldn't recognize. And that's where money blocks come in. So I went to have a talk. I found somebody who knew what I was talking about. And this gentleman, after I told him what was going on, I said, I can get to a certain point with my revenue, but I can't get any further.
Right.
Or if I get there and I get further, it goes right back down. Or something always happens. What is going on? And he looked at me and he said, I know exactly what's going on. And I'm like, you do tell me, please. And he said, you've got some mental blocks around money. He said, how's your relationship with money? And no one had ever asked me that question. He said, what was it like growing up? What was your family like with money? And I talked to him about, mom and dad. They both had different ideas about money. My mom was very conservative and very much afraid to spend and that we would lose. My dad was more, oh, we can go make more. So there was always this difference of opinion about money. And then as my dad started in business, money was good, but then for a while, money wasn't good in the business. Something would happen. Maybe the economy would change, or we had some traumatic events happen in our business. But all the while, being exposed to that, I never thought anything of it. But those are what we call traumatic and dramatic experiences that get stored in our memories.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's what happened. And so he said, you've just hit a mental block here. And I said, why do you think that is? And so that's when we started to break down some of my own belief systems about, was it safe to be seen and to make more money? Whereas when you're practicing
That's two
law,
different things. Was it safe to be seen?
you're right. But it was the cause of the money
Yes.
block not
Yes.
flowing. So going back to a traumatic experience, in fifth grade, I grew up in a very well, it was an all African American school and community school. Good student, made good grades, and I had a little trouble with a little girl that didn't like it, right? And so in fifth grade, I remember she got me in the bathroom, and she started to bully me, and she said, you're going to get in trouble now, and she wanted that. So of course, teacher comes in, you're both fighting, we all get sent to the principal's office. I'm like, I didn't do anything. It was a traumatic event.
What
So,
happened? You
well,
can't leave me there.
she punched me and scratched my face and I mean, it was awful. And I was trying to defend myself. So I'm sitting there washing my hands in the bathroom. She comes up behind me and she's there to bully me. She had asked to come to the restroom as well. And when the teacher came in, we were scrambling because she was scratching my face and punching. And we both ended up going to the principal's office, and we were both punished. And we were punished because we were quote unquote fighting. So of course I tried to tell the principal my side of the story, and he said, well, you're both fighting, so I'm going to have to punish you both. Sent notes home to my parents. I ended up getting in trouble, and I'm really innocent around what happened. So that was a traumatic event for me because, again, I was a very quiet student, never bothered anyone. But I felt like because I was seen as a great student and got accolades, and the teacher was, of course, very favorable toward me, that event kind of set in motion. It wasn't safe to be visible.
So how did that change your achievement?
I was more quiet about my achievement from there on. That was fifth grade. So went on to middle school, was just more quiet to myself, never really talked about what I was doing, had just a very few friends because I thought it wasn't safe to be, for it to be known again. And just knew from there that it changed the way I felt about myself. Like, I didn't understand why someone would do that to someone when there was no reason. Like, I was a kind person. But I found out later, and looking back, this particular incident, this child had come from a family of like 8 children, single mom. There was a struggle in the family. all I can surmise looking back is I had two parents and I had a sister. We seemed to be doing well, quote unquote. You know how well is relative, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So there might have been a little bit of resentment or a little bit of anger in her life. And she wanted to probably be a good student, or she wanted, who knows, but there was frustration.
Yeah,
So, but because of that, I took away the scars in my own little head.
well, yes. And well, she already had scars in her own little head.
Right. So, but I took away the meaning, like, oh, it's not safe to be the best student. It's not safe to want to do more. Let's just blend in. Can I just blend in and so everybody will like me?
So it didn't stop your achievement, it stopped your talking about it.
Stopped my talking about it. I kept it quiet. I just put my head down, did what I had to do, got through education. And with law, it didn't come up as much because, everybody in law school is on the same level, really. You had to get there, you had to have good grades. So there was I didn't feel it as much. But when you start really trying to achieve bigger goals, that's when it came into play. Like all of a sudden now, I want to achieve more. And I'm being vocal about that. And so I was helping business owners, um, service-based business owners, improve their performance and their profitability and monetize the brilliance they had to form consulting companies. So that really triggered something in me that was dormant from long ago.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that kind of came up, and it's in your brain, it's in your mind. And it was like, stop, it's not safe. So that fear, which is kind of the three components I talk about, the fear of being seen, the fear of success, fear of failure, the fear of I'm not good enough, right? Not smart enough. All those fears started to unleash themselves, and that was stopping my ability to move forward. So that's why I had to stop and find somebody to help.
Yeah.
And when I did, we picked apart where my belief system was around making money. So
Yeah.
growing up, making money was, my dad always said it. You have to work really long. You have to work hard. And it's a struggle to do well. Well, when you put that combination together and you tell your brain that's what you have to do, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I created that and worked it, right?
And
Long,
don't you think too that when you're working for somebody else, when you have a corporate job, then then basically for that time being, your salary is your salary. But
correct,
when you're an entrepreneur, there is no base salary. There is whatever you earn. So it's much more on you. And part of being on you has to be, you have to be visible. So it really just butted heads with some of those old blocks. Yeah,
right?
no
The wounds,
question.
yeah, they were actually wounds. Um, and
Wounds. Yes,
yeah, there were core wounds, really.
yeah.
But after learning that everybody has some form of a core wound,
Everybody.
it's just a matter of when you bump up against it. And this money just happened to be the thing, the triggering point, like you say, now determining what I want to make, what I want to earn. And it's not like law where you bill by the hour, right? And the
Right,
fees are associated with what commonly lawyers charge. Now you get to decide
right,
you deserve. And
right.
that's where I bumped up against the wall. So that's where I saw entrepreneurs
Yeah,
struggling. And also, people coming out of corporate really had to struggle
yeah.
because you're right. All of a sudden, no one's
So different.
dropping in your bank account you're not seeing what someone's telling you you're going to make. You have to determine
Right.
what the value is of
Right.
what you're offering. And
Right.
so that's what got me into this work, my own struggle around, really overcoming those barriers, those financial
Yeah.
barriers around being seen. It was safe to be seen. Establishing a new relationship with money based on some tools that I have, such that it was safe to make more and to grow more. And also to really reprogram my mind around success.
Yes. Yes. And you also learn the value of having a mentor, not thinking that we can do it on our own, because, if we can give advice, we can give advice to ourselves. But that sounds good.
I tried, Meryl.
If
You know
only
what
it
I
could
did?
work. None of
I
us can do
tried.
that.
I tried reading books. I read, I don't know how many books. I went to seminars. I went to experts. I tried all kinds of things. I call it the shelf help
Right, right.
to get myself out of this. And I had to have support. And
Yeah,
so after I got support, I said to myself, I said, no one else will have to struggle with this.
yeah,
I will become um, very astute at helping people in this area because
yeah.
it's super frustrating
Right,
to
right.
be stuck and unable to figure out or pinpoint what's going on.
Yeah, I did read that your giveaway, and it mentioned something I have a question about. You mentioned making use of spaced repetition. Do you what do you mean?
Okay, so I have a three-step system. I call it LABS for short, but it's Limitless Abundance Breakthrough System. So in the system, first of all, a person has to pinpoint and release this barrier. The barrier I talked about, say it's money is evil, or it's hard to make money, or
Right.
whatever your belief system, you have to identify that first, and the fear. So releasing it is important, but also attached to that is you have to remove that negative emotion associated.
Yes.
So my association was negative with being seen, which was causing the block,
Right.
right? With
Right.
going to the next level. So I was frustrated. I was anxious, right? So you
Yeah.
have to remove that feeling. And the third step is where you have to reprogram. So that's where the space and repetition comes in. So if I have to have a new belief system, mine is, money is easy to make. It's easy to make, and it's safe to be seen. It's safe for me to be visible, vocal, and valuable in the world. And I had to say that over and over. I had to reprogram my mind until my mind would accept that new belief system. Because for so long, right, it had believed the opposite. And so the conflict between what you want to believe and what you think you believe, guess which one wins? Your unconscious belief wins if money's hard to make and it's a struggle and you've got to work long and hard, but you say over and over it's easy, it wins unless you know how to release the emotion that goes with it. So money and I are friends. We have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with being visible with myself. I healed. I had the core wound that was healed, right, and reconciled. And I rewrote the story. So part of rewriting the story was about perhaps going back in and how would I want that to happen? Well, I would have wanted the little girl to say, yes, I did hit her first. And yes, she wasn't doing anything, but I was angry. And I was angry because whatever her reason would be, like I'm not getting the attention at home, I'm not doing very good in school. And then for me to say, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that happened to you. At the same time, her saying, I'm sorry that I took it out on you. So I rewrote that memory. And so I took away those feelings, right? And then to be able to reprogram with repetition with that story, I was able to form some new beliefs that it's safe to be visible and it's safe to pursue your goals, and I can do it with ease instead of long struggle hard. That's just
Right.
one example, but there's actually 300 limiting beliefs that you could have that you're not aware of.
300?
At least I have like a catalog of those that I
Oh
keep.
my gosh.
Yeah, it stems from, we just pick up various things from our experiences, not just growing up, but when people go through financial hardship, there are lots of beliefs they pick up around themselves. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not capable. When you start adding all of those belief systems up, there's quite a few. So I don't know about your listeners, but there's an assessment that I have that lists like some of the traumatic events, and maybe you haven't gone through them, but when you think about um, prior experiences with loss, it could be you lost a family member, um, and that affected your income. You lost your health, so you have medical bills, and you lost perhaps your job because of that. You could be in a conflict. You could have litigation over money, a lawsuit. You could have been sued. Past financial decisions resulted in like something traumatic, or just fear of not having enough. Because that's why I'm saying people that are even at upper income levels have these same fears. Like, can I sustain? Will I have enough? What will the markets do? Look at the economy. That it's the same thing no matter where you are at that stage. So if you've had those types of events in your life, then those are the things that could be holding you back from pursuing your goals. I want to stay safe.
You talked about cutting edge tools and strategies
Yes.
and tactics.
Yes. So the limited abundance breakthrough system is one, and I developed that one around a protocol that I use. When people are unsure that they don't know why they're stuck. Subconsciously, most people don't realize they can access and ask their subconscious mind questions and get answers.
Mm.
So I use kinesiology or muscle testing to actually
Oh,
do, yeah, to get answers. And I use a tool to do that with to identify emotions that are keeping the belief system in place. Also use scripting, rewriting, and just a number of tools that
I see.
are helpful in breaking through those patterns so that you can overcome the beliefs or the blind spots or barriers that are holding you back. And when you're able to do that, the evidence is things start opening up,
Yeah.
new opportunities. Maybe you're able to sell easier. You see that you don't have the same anxiety around money anymore. And my clients just rave about, I mean, I've had people threatened through their health. Like, health is one of the things that brings about a lot of fear around money. Will I be able to continue working? Um, am I going to live? And those are the types of situations that, I end up helping entrepreneurs walk through, that if they don't have support, they end up sabotaging their own success with their fear, doubt, worry about what's happening to them and whether they will be able to continue to make money.
Do
Uh,
you think that sometimes people have a particular attitude or have the fear that causes the illness?
well, I'll tell you, stress is the number one ease among all of us. Like if I stay in stress long enough, right? I'm not a medical professional, but I know it affects my organs, right? My heart and the way I breathe. And over time, I think you stay in that chronic stress long enough. And I found that in my practice. So when I practiced law, I worked with people who were in corporate
Stress.
America,
Yeah.
and they would contract some type of disease, whether it's heart attack, lupus, chronic fatigue, you name it. And usually we were working with either their insurance company or the disability system
Right.
to get them some relief. But after reading medical records all those years, I found burning the candle and hustling and grinding did not go well, right? That a lot of times there was something that would break down in our own health, and that breakdown, as we know, causes stress, right?
Yeah.
Causes stress on our ability to be creative and to have energy and all of that. So it affected your performance. It also affected your ability to have a good relationship with family members, coworkers, maybe even supervisors. And so that's where the emotional intelligence comes in. So I really believe, and that's why I'm an advocate for it now. It starts with being aware of what you're thinking while you're thinking.
So
And you're thinking,
explain.
well, like right now, what are you thinking? If you're worried about your health and money and your supervisor, you have a conflict and you're in a stress response, the emotion is not positive, right? So we're either in a powerful state, right, where we've got peace and joy and um, well-being, or we're in a state of a negative state where we're in worry, doubt, fear, or stress, and as that's going on, you're not managing your emotions. So you have to think about what you're thinking about. So if you are in a adversarial relationship with someone, what are your thoughts? What meaning are you giving to the adversarial relationship? So if someone is having an argument with their spouse, and that's common, like I don't think there's anybody that would say they haven't, but it's not the argument that's causing the stress, it's how you're thinking about the argument. So you can have a difference of opinion, right? And still in your mind, not get angry, frustrated, or get to the point where there's resentment or jealousy or whatever the negative emotion is. So you're managing and being aware of how you're thinking about what you're thinking about. So you could say, we're disagreeing right now, and we have a difference of opinion. And yes, I feel myself getting angry. Will that serve me to continue that anger? No. But can I keep the difference of opinion until we resolve it? Yes. So you see what I'm saying? It's a different story than you make me so angry, Marilyn. I just want to.
So
There's a
I used to say, I can't help it. I mean, it would be my husband, Nathan, you make me so angry.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help it. And I read somewhere that you have control over your anger.
You
And I
do.
said, that's ridiculous, right? I talk to books.
That's good.
So that's ridiculous. And so then the next time I had an argument with Nathan, and I said, I don't have to be angry, right? I'm talking to myself, right? I don't have to be angry, but I have to be angry because so that I can remember to say everything that I want to say to him.
Yeah, that's
Because
pretty.
otherwise it'll just go away and he'll never know what an idiot he was. Right.
Right.
And
Right.
and then finally I said, okay, that doesn't, chill, relax. That doesn't make sense. And I remember, I remember saying, okay, I don't have to be angry. I'm not going to be angry. That really was momentous.
That awareness is what we're talking about
Yeah,
right now. And
yeah,
then deciding that you're going to manage that emotion. You can
yeah,
still be angry to a degree about a situation, but angry enough to say, be rude to the person or
right.
to believe the person is the problem. And I think that's what we see with people. We think the person is the problem. And if you could articulate what are you angry about?
The person.
Well, is it what the person has said or their perspective,
Yeah,
or what they've done?
of course,
Yeah,
we all have control over
sure we
uh,
do.
who, what we, I mean, it was the first time I said, oh, I don't have to be angry. I want to be angry. I want this. That's that's when I knew I had control. Because
Right. And
if I could force myself to keep the anger, I could force myself to let it go.
that is true. And so that's what we're talking about. Do
Yeah,
I keep
it's
this?
powerful. It's
Do I
very
keep
powerful.
this or do I let it go? That's the choice. And so that's what emotional intelligence is about. Do
Yeah,
I keep this or do I let it go? You're
yeah,
still in power,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
I
definitely.
I choose to let this go now.
Yes,
It
yes,
hadn't served me now. It's not going to serve me to keep it. So
right.
I choose to let it go. Do you still have the conflict? Potentially, but you're able to resolve it in a different way, right?
Yes,
Because you've
yes,
taken the toxin out of the
yes,
disagreement. That's
yeah,
why I liked mediation when I was doing law. I was
yeah,
like, we could just take the toxins off the table, or let's sit them over here for now,
yeah,
and let's deal with just the issue.
yeah,
You could get some resolution to it.
yeah.
As long as you've
Absolutely.
got the toxin with the belief attached that you're wrong and I'm right, we never get to a resolution.
Right, right. Yeah.
So that's how I know that for me, this has been a progress in terms of how to think and how to choose. So when I say repetition, it requires practice and commitment. So you really can't just,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
yeah, it's a training. It's almost retraining your mind to think a certain way. I'm going to think about what I'm thinking about. How am I feeling, which is attached to that attitude or that perception or that thought. And if I don't like the result, I'm going to look for whether I want to keep it or let it go.
Yeah,
Well, if it's affecting your ability to achieve your goals with ease, I would say you might want to let it go, right? So that's how you know the symptom of the problem. Just we have to get to the root cause of the problem. And the
right.
problem a lot of times is how we're thinking and how we're feeling about how we're thinking. So
To
if you
me,
stay in peace,
I think of anger like drugs. It's
yeah,
something you go to when you haven't resolved that root issue that you're talking about, and then it becomes an additional problem. It doesn't solve your problem, it adds to your problems.
it does.
Yeah.
And that's why going back to my story, rewriting it, thinking about, okay, this child is from a family with, 8 children, single mom, perhaps, and she's the eldest child. Perhaps there's some frustration.
Oh,
Perhaps there's some anger. I don't know that, but it helped me rewrite and understand and seek to understand instead of just being understood. She should have never, of course, she should have never, right? But understanding brought about some resolution of the wound. The wound was no longer, oh, it's not safe to be seen, and that kind of thing. It brought about an empowering belief that um, her thoughts and her beliefs are hers. She regretted what she did later on, I mean, certainly she did. She apologized months down the road. And she even said why she did it. She was frustrated that day and she was having trouble in school, right? And, that's why she did it. So that's why I rewrote the memory. And when I rewrote the memory and got rid of the fear and the anxiety around my own safety, because, safety and belonging is high on the list
Yes,
for, yeah.
sure.
When I rewrote that and I tested it. In other words, I went out and I started doing interviews like this and I kept doing it until the fear just subsided. It was like no longer is there any fear
Yeah,
because there's nothing to fear except fear itself.
right, right. And what's wonderful is that it it gives you the experience and the knowledge to be able to help other people.
It does. And I have been able to do that. And that's what's so really gratifying about this. I have brilliant women come through mostly who are really good at what they do, and they just hit that ceiling where they're going, something's wrong, I don't know what it is. And we go back to pinpointing, let's see if it's around money and you're not able to get to the next level, what's causing that? Is it how you're feeling about yourself, or is it how you're feeling about money or success? And once we're able to pinpoint that and release those beliefs, I had a client um, who actually she came to me and she said I was really ashamed to even mention that this was going on, which is common. But she said, I'm just so frustrated with my employer. I'm just getting into so many conflicts with my employer. And we started to talk about those conflicts. She said, and my performance is suffering because of it. And we got to the root of it, and some of her problem was with, she was selling really well for a while, but when she went to the next level, she had a fear around making too much money and losing the money. So growing up, she grew up in a home where they had lots of money, but they lost it. And so she had gotten to this level where she had reached this point in her sales career where that fear came back again, right? So we had to get to the root cause of that fear, and again, release and her let go of the fear and the limiting belief that she had, and remove those negative emotions that were still festering with the belief system. And then she had to, of course, rewrite the story and renew her mind, and with repetition she was able to do that. Now, that's just a simplified belief. There were other beliefs in operation. She thought her employer was the problem. Well, it ends up, yeah, her adversarial attitude and perception was causing some of the problem. And so she was able to own that. And once we were able to do that, again, she started showing up in her power and things got better.
Yeah.
So it's a real interesting place to see people from the inside out and then see their performance get better or their profitability get better or they're able to go to the next level. And that's how they realize, that took care of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But they weren't able to do it themselves. You have to have support to do it. And I have support to do it still. I still have support around seeing things that I can't see about myself that influence how I show up in the world.
I think what you say that's important for people to hear is that there are things that each of us don't see about ourselves and our situation that have an impact. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't affect things. And we need somebody, everybody needs somebody to have a different set of eyes and for you to be able to see what's in front of you. I mean, sometimes today we went on a walk and and with friends, and my friend said, "Oh, look, look, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? See that white? Just that little bit of white was the tail of a deer." You know?
Ah,
And
huh.
so I did see the white, and as soon as I saw the white, the whole deer appeared. You know, because okay, so I see the white. Oh, that's the tail. Oh, and that's kind of like how blocks are. You
Yes. What a,
you know, they're not there. Somebody points it out, and you only see a little tip of it. And but as you look at it with somebody's help, or just even being pointed in that direction with some direction, it like appears. It's magical.
it is magical. That's a great example.
Yeah.
Once she was able to point that out, you were able to see it. Uh,
Yes.
and I can see where that comes up in my business with some people. I've seen an opportunity for a long time, but never paid attention. So I had a client who had a relationship with this person, and the person had presented her an opportunity to speak, and she, said, "I'll get around to it." She never got around to it. She didn't see the opportunity as anything, and the person kept asking her, "So when are you going to come speak?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll get around to it." Well, when she finally got around to it, it opened the door to like an endless amount of leads. And she said, "You know what? That opportunity was there all along. For some reason, she was on the hustle and grind. I'm too busy. I'll get to it, right? I'm doing it the way I want to do it right now." And she said, "I'll finally do it when I can." And it was the path for ease for her.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. I mean, it was there all
Yes.
along. She just
Yes.
couldn't recognize the opportunity.
Yes.
Again, when you're on the hustle and bustle and,
Yes.
struggle bus, I call it,
Yes.
working really hard and overworking, you miss
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yes. Absolutely. Because they're too easy.
Yeah, it's too easy. Why stop and actually smell the roses like you were on a walk? That's a great thing to do. That's one of the things, your listeners might want to take away from you is when you do get keyed up in whatever you're doing, and you realize, oh, I'm frustrated. I feel the anxiety coming on related to something's not working, or you're disappointed because something didn't work out. One of the things to do is take a break in the action.
Oh, totally.
Go take a walk, go sit in
Totally.
the sun. When you come back, I guarantee you, you see things with a different, fresh
Totally.
set of eyes.
But and I think you need to plan your life uh with um with the mini vacations of the day. Like I used to think of a vacation, it's taking you're going away from work. No, it's clearing your mind so you can see work, relationship. It's so you can see your life differently. You really need a different perspective, and you need to
Yes,
put that into your life. Ways to
right.
have different perspectives.
Yeah, I have a saying I developed after I overcame all of the hustle and grind. It was like, so goes your life, so goes your business. So the more peaceful your life is, the more peaceful your business will become.
So in my
And
book, it's things to know before you get married, before you get divorced, and before you quit your job.
mm,
Those are the pivot points
mm-hmm,
where you need to have a different see more clearly
right,
from different perspectives. Yeah,
exactly. I agree.
yeah.
Well, we live and learn, right? But one of the things that I know for sure is most people aren't willing to see sometimes their blocks or blind spots or barriers until it becomes very painful. So keep that in mind that the mind that's creating this loves the comfort of being in discomfort. Like if you stay in this stuck mode long enough, it doesn't want you to get out of stuck mode. So um, the key is taking action right away. So if you hear a podcast like this and you can identify with what's going on, don't wait immediately. Like download that handout, look at yourself kind of in the mirror, see if you have those problems. And if you do, by all means, I offered a free, 30-minute call. Most of the time, if you tell me enough of what's going on based on where you are and how long it's been going on and what the sabotaging behaviors are or the limiting beliefs, we can pinpoint where the root of the problem probably is and get you the relief that you need so that you're aware of it, because you can't overcome something you're not aware of.
Yes, yes, that's pinpointing exactly where the solution is. How's that? That's pinpointing where the solution is. Yes,
That's true.
listeners, listen to Camille. She's giving you straight on advice, and she's there at CamilleWalker.com, so you can reach out to her, and she will give you help if you need it.
Yes, and don't be afraid to ask for help. That's wisdom. That's comes from don't struggle by yourself.
Right. Get
Yeah,
help to struggle.
right. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Camille, this has been wonderful. I'm so glad that we managed to make this happen. It's a
Me too.
I enjoy you speak wisdom, and I hope our listeners hear it and take advantage.
Sure. I appreciate your reaching out to me, and you're the relationship miracle worker. And I'm glad you are, because a lot of this that we've talked about, you're right, carries over into the work I know
Yes.
that you do with individuals in corporate America, and also, interpersonal relationships. So thank you for what you do, and thank you for having me on and talking about money and success.
I've enjoyed it. So everybody, make sure, is there any, I mean, Camille.com is good, or would you like to say something else?
Oh, well, it's CamilleWalker.com and / money blind spots.
Okay,
So if they would put that on there, money blind spots, it'll take them to the download.
directly.
They'll be able to schedule a call if they'd like, or just take the download. And but again, don't sit on this problem. It doesn't get any better.
Amen.
Mhm.
Amen.
So,
So everybody, thank you for listening to Merle's Pearls of Business Wisdom with me, your host, Merle M. Singer, the Relationship Miracle Worker. You can find this episode and all past episodes, certainly at relationshipmiracleworker.com/podcast, but for sure on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or all the other of your favorite podcast platforms. And tune in right away. If you're listening to this and you've already heard Camille, wasn't she terrific? Thank you all, and I will see you next week, next Thursday. Bye, everybody.